All bloodstains that come from rectum, all bloodstains that come from rectum are tahor. You have Yehuda rules them tame because the residents of rectum are converts who err. Bloodstains that come from non-Jews are tahor, and bloodstains that come from among Jews from among Kuthins, where Meir rules them tame. But the sages rule them tahor because Kuthins are not suspect regarding their bloodstains. Regarding all bloodstains found anywhere, they are tahor, except for those found in rooms and in the vicinity of the chambers of Tuma. Kuthian chambers of Tuma convey Tuma by means of Ohel because the Kuthians bury their stillborns there. Rabbi Yehuda says they did not bury them, rather they cast them there, and wild animals would drag them away. They are trusted when they say we buried stillborns there, or we did not bury them there. They are trusted when they say about an animal if it has already been given birth to the first offspring, or if it has been not yet given birth to its offspring. They are trusted with regard to the marking of graves, but they are not trusted with regard to overhangs, nor with regard to protrusions, nor with regard to base of pras. This is the general rule concerning a matter in which they are suspect. They are not trusted about it.
כן, חס. Ro'a kesim al basara. So a woman sees blood on her own flesh. Okay, keneged besa turpa tamea. Basically, if it's in an area which is close to her private parts, or which is in line with her private parts, then she is considered tame. She must assume that the blood came from there. Okay, v'shelo keneged besa turpa tahora, and the converse is also true. Okay, now the Mishnah is going to give us some examples of that. Al akeva or al rosh gudala, if it's on her heel or on her big toe. So this is considered keneged besa turpa because it could have dripped down there, either onto her heel or onto her toe. Okay. Al shokav al parasoseha. However, if it's on her thigh or on her feet, okay, mibifnim tmea. If it's on the inner side, then yes, we must suspect that it's uterine blood. Mibachutz Torah. If it's from the outside, then how did the blood get there? Okay, we don't have to suspect that she touched herself and then moved her hand and touched it over there. No, that's too far. Okay, al hatstadin mikanu mikan tahora. So if it's on the sides, either way, it's tahor because there was no way that the blood was going to reach there by itself. Rasa al chaluka, if she sees it on her shirt. Minachagor ulamata, if it's from her waist and down, then we must assume that it's tame. Minachagor ulamala tahora. But if it's from her belt and up, then it's tahor. I must assume, by the way, that all of these cases are where she's not wearing underwear, because if she's wearing underwear, that will tell you everything.
Right,
and there's no way that the blood came out without going through her underwear.
Right.
Okay. Rasa al base yad shel chaluk. So if she's wearing a shirt and she sees it on the sleeve, im magia keneged base turpa. If it's low enough on the sleeve that she could have angled herself and brushed her arm against her privates, then yes, that's tameh. Im love, if it's too high for her to have reached herself, then it's tahor. Haisa poshatetu umis kasabo balayla. If she was wearing, if she covered herself with some sort of shirt as a sleeping to sleep in. Okay. So this is where not that she's actually wearing it as a shirt, but she's using it as a blanket of some sort. Right? She's using it to cover herself at night. Then any stain we must assume is tame because it moves around as she's sleeping, right? You don't know what you're doing when you're sleeping. Things move from place to place. And same thing goes for a pallium. A pallium is
kind of a head covering, it seems like.
A head covering that she's using as a pillow or any kind of covering. Then that is considered that will be tame no matter where you find the blood. Okay. Mishnah base. However, she can attribute the blood stain to any external causes if she can. Okay. Shachta behema v'chaya ba'of. If she had been busy shechting animals, and there's no reason why a woman can't be a shochet, by the way. That's 100% kosher. Okay, nis aska kasamim, or if she was dealing with stains. Now, what does it mean? Oh, excuse me. No, coffee still got a kick in there. Right. Right. If she was dealing with other fresh stains that she was trying to clean up, and she finds part of the stain on herself suddenly, so it's possible that the blood came from somewhere else. Okay. Or she yashva b'tzad ha'asukim bahin, or she was sitting with other people who were dealing with blood or with animals or anything. Okay. And then she can attribute the blood that she finds on her clothing to some external cause, not from her own bleeding. Harga ma'acholis, if she killed a kind of an insect, which Gadi says is a louse. I just cannot see how a louse is going to have any blood in it. That's just, I mean, you know how big a louse is. So I'm sure that that's not that can't be what we're talking about. Okay, but she killed some kind of little creature. Hare zotolaba. She can even treat that as part of the as the reason for the blood on her. Ad kamahi tola. How much could she say? Okay, could she blame on the insect? Rabbi Chanina ben Antigonus Omer ad gris shall pull. If it's anything up to the size of a bean, right? Bull is a split bean.
Split bean, right?
Yeah. So up to the seed of a split bean. Af al pi shelo harga, and even if she didn't kill it, or if we shelo harga, meaning, so Rabbi Chanina is disagreeing with the Tanakama, because the Tanakama is saying that harga kina, the Tanakama says that you have to actually kill it, and he says no, there's no need to actually kill it. Even if you didn't kill it, you could blame the blood stain on that. If the stain is no bigger than that, at least if the stain is no bigger than that gris. Betola bivna over bala, and she can also blame it on her son or on her husband. How can she blame it on her son or on her husband if they have a wound? So she was attending to the wound of her husband or son. Then yeah, she can blame it on that. Im yesh ba makah, and if she herself has a wound, v'hi yicholan lehigalal ulotzi dam, and she would be able to take, if she took off the scab of the wound and blood would come out of it, hare zo tolaba, then you could blame it on that as well. Okay. Maseh isha achas shebas lifnei Rabbi Akiva. So it was once a case where a woman came to Rabbi Akiva, Amra lo ra'isi kesim, and she said, Rabbi, I saw a stain. What's the din on the stain? So he looks at the blood and he says, Amra la shema maka sabach. Did you have a wound on yourself? He's asking the same questions that we'd have in our Mishnah above. Okay, Amra lo hein. Yeah, I have a wound. V'chaisa. Hein, v'chaisa. Yes, I had a wound, but it already healed. Amra la. So he asked her further. Shema yichola lihigala lo tzidam. Is it possible that that the scab broke off a little bit and blood came out? Amrlo, hey, yeah, I guess that it would. If the scab broke off, then it would still be bleeding. But Tihara Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva said, okay, Tahor, no, nothing to worry about here. Talmidav mistakin ze. So he looks around and sees his students looking at each other and saying, really? Amar lahem, ma davar kasher b'neichem. So what you looking at? Why do you think this is so bad? Shelo amru chachamim hadavar lahachmir ela lahakel. Chachamim didn't put in this thing of stains, but they're not to make it not to be so stringent. Be as lenient as you can with these things. Shenemar v'isha ki siyeh zava dam yeh zova b'ivsara. So when a woman is a zava, okay, then blood will be her zava on her flesh. Dam v'lo kesem. That's talking about actual blood, not a stain. Okay, so when it comes to stains, we can be a little more lenient, says Rabbi Akiva. Okay. Excuse me. Coffee.
All right. Okay, we have hey. A boy who is 9 years old and 1 day old who cohabitates with his Yavama acquires her, but he cannot give her a bill of divorce until he reaches adulthood. Furthermore, he becomes tummy by cohabitating with a Niddah to the degree that he will render a bottom couch as tummy as that on which he is on top. He disqualifies a woman with whom he cohabitates, but it does not cause the woman to eat truma. He disqualifies an animal from being offered on the altar, and the animal is sown to death on his account. And if he cohabitates with any one of the arayos, forbidden partners, mentioned in the Torah, they are put to death on his account, but not liable to punishment. A girl who's 11 years old and 1 day old, her vows are examined. A girl who's 12 years and 1 day old, vows are stated, and a woman's vows are examined her entire 12th year. A boy who is 12 and 1 day old, his vows are examined. The boy who's 13 years and 1 day old, his vows stand, and a boy's vows are examined his entire 13th year. Before this time, even if they say we know unto whom we vowed, or we know unto whom we consecrated, their vows are no longer not valid vows, and the consecrations are not valid consecrations. After this time, even if they say we do not know unto whom we vowed, or we do not know unto whom we consecrated, their vows are valid vows, and their consecrations are valid consecrations. The Chachamim created a metaphor for the development stages of a woman: a green fig, a small fig, and a semel. At the stage when she is likened to a green fig, she is still a child. The stage of a small fig alludes to the days of her Narias, period. During both this stage and that stage, her father is entitled to fines and her earnings and to the annulment of her vows. Semel alludes to a stage of an full adulthood. Once she reaches full adulthood, her father no longer has authority over her.
Okay.
And Mikvot. Okay, base above. If one moved mud to the sides and 3 lugim of water drained out of it, it is valid. However, if we removed it and 3 lugim drained out of it, it is invalid. Rabbi Shimon declares it valid because he had no intention to draw the water. If one placed jars on a roof to dry them out and they filled with rainwater, Rabbi Eliezer says if it's a rainy season or if it is a small amount of water in the pit, he can break the jars. Otherwise, he cannot break them. Rabbi Yeshua says in any case he can either break them or tilt them as he may not pour out the water. If a plasterer forgot his pot in a cistern and he filled it with water, when the water flows over it, even a little, he can break it. Otherwise, he cannot break it. So says Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Yeshua says in either case he can break.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And we are on to
Negaim.
I am okay. This is Zion Dalit. Zion Dalit, right? If one pulls out symptoms of tumor, or one who burns a patch of living skin transgresses a prohibition, and concerning Tahara, as long as he had not come onto the Kohen, he is Tahar after his confirmation. He is Tameh. Rabbi Akiva says, I asked Rabbi Gamaliel and Rabbi Yeshua on their way to Gadvad if he removed the negative symptoms in the middle of his confinement, what law applies to him? They said to me, we did not hear, but we did hear. As long as he had not come to the Kohen, he is Tahor. After his confirmation, he is Tameh. I began bringing them proofs that when is standing before the Kohen or one is in the middle of confinement, when he destroyed the Tameh symptoms, he is Tahor, unless he destroyed the Tameh symptoms after the Kohen declares him Tameh. But when does he become Tahor? Rebellion says when another nega appears and he becomes Tahor from it, and the sages say until he covers him completely or until the Baharis becomes smaller than a grist. If someone had a Baharis and it was cut off, it becomes Tahor. If he cut it off intentionally, Rebellion says when another nega appears and he becomes Tahor from it, the sages say until he covers him completely. If he was on the tip of the foreskin, he shall circumcise anyway. That which speaks completely from his tummy becomes tahor. If the extremities return to the normal appearance, it becomes tummy until the baharis become smaller than a grist. That which spreads completely from a tahor becomes tahor, and if the extremities return to normal appearance, he remains tummy until the baharis returns on the way it was. Okay.
Okay.
And
Next.
we are on to Nakos, Ikoros. Okay. Vav Yud. Rav Kanina ben Antigonus says if he has not a wart on his eye, I'm sorry, if he has a wart on his eye, or the bone of the foreleg or hind leg is notched, or the bone in its mouth is split, or one eye is large and the other is small, the one ear is visibly large and the other is small, it is a blemish. And if not, it must be reneged. Rabbi Yehuda says also, if one of the testicles is twice the size of the other, the sages do not concur with him. If a calf's tail does not reach the knees joint, the sages say the growth of all calves is in this manner. As long as they grow, they stretch out. Concerning knee joints, which they speak, so Kanina ben Antigonus, concerning the knee joint that is in the middle of the thigh, by reason of these blemishes, the bakor may be slaughtered, and unfit consecrated animals may be redeemed because of them. On account of the following blemishes, one may not slaughter either in the temple or in the provinces. White flecks of water that are not permanent, or back teeth that are one that were notched, but were not uprooted, or in animals that have scabs of weight, of wart, or boils, or an aged animal, a sick one emitting an offensive order, and one with which a sin was omitted, or that he killed a person by testimony or witness by the confession of an owner, or animal of undetermined gender, or androgynous animal, one may not slaughter them either in the temple or in the provinces. The Mishna says there is no blemish greater than this, and the comments say it is not a bakor, and it may be sheared and worked.
Okay.
And we have Gittin Dalet Hay. One who is a half slave and half free works with 1 day for his master and 1 day for himself. These are the words of Beis Hillel, and Beis Shammai says to them, "You have provided a solution to this master. For him and for him himself, you have not provided a solution. He cannot marry a slave because he is half free, and he cannot marry a free woman because he is half slave. Shall he remain idle? But this was not the world created only for propagation, as it said, he created it not as a waste, he formed it to be inhabited. Rather, for the sake of the general good, his master is compelled to free him, and he writes a bond for half his value. Subsequently, Basil retracted and taught in accordance with the words of Beis Shammai. If one sells a slave to a Gentile, someone outside Eretz Israel goes free, captives may not be redeemed for more than the value for the sake of general good, and captives may not be helped to escape for the sake of the general good. Reb Shimon Gamliel said, for the benefit of other captives, Torah scrolls, phylacteries, and mezuzahs may not be brought from Gentiles for more than the value for the sake of the general good. One who divorces his wife for a bad reputation may not take her back because of a neder. He may not take her back. And Rabbi Yehuda says that because of any neder which was known to the public, he may not take her back. But if because of a neder not known to the public, he may take her back. Rameya says if he divorced her because of a neder that requires the inquiry of a sage, he may not take her back. But if because of a neder which not to require the inquiry of a sage, he may take her back. If Elazar says they prohibited it only because of the other because of the other. Said Reb Yossi, Reb Yehuda, it occurred in Sidon that one said to his wife, Konam, if I do not divorce you, if I do not divorce you, and he divorced her, all the sages allowed him to take her back for the sake of the general good. Okay.
Okay, I have one question on this. Who invented the word phylacteries and why? Because nobody knows it. Like,
I know.
like imagine the discussion on the airplane. You're sitting next, like you just put on your tefillin, daven, and the guy sitting next to you says, "Excuse me, I noticed you put on those little black boxes. What are they?" You say, "Oh, those are my tefillin." Say, "What? They're what?" "No, they're my phylacteries." Ah, now I understand. Thank you very much. Oh, that.
You know, nobody knows that word. Nobody.
So why bother translating it? Why not just make the word tefillin and yeah.
All right. Yud Aleph Dalet. One who throws a distance of 4 cubits in the sea is exempt. If there was a shallow pool of muddy water with the public domain passing through it, one who throws a distance of 4 cubits in it is liable. How much is the shallow pool? Less than 10 tefachim. A shallow pool with a public domain passing through it, if one throws a distance of 4 cubits, he is liable. One who throws from the sea to the dry land, from the dry land to the sea, from the sea to the ship, from the ship to the sea, or from one ship to another is exempt. If ships are tied together, we may move things from one to the other. If they're not tied together, even though they are close to each other, we may not move things from one to the other. And one who threw something and reminded himself that it had left his hand, or another person caught it, or a dog caught it, or was burnt in a flight, is exempt. If one threw a stone with the intention of inflicting a wound upon either a man or beast, he reminded himself when even the wound had not yet been inflicted, he is exempt. This is the rule. All who are liable for sin offerings are not liable unless the beginning and the end of their acts are both inadvertent. If the beginning was real inadvertent and the end was intentional, or if the beginning was intentional and the end was inadvertent, they are exempt unless the beginning and the end are inadvertent. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great trip. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great time.
Bye.
Enjoy yourself.